Coming up in today's programme, what does superior service mean in Hampshire? And we find out who in the network is this month's winner in Best Place to Suggest. Hello and good morning. Welcome to today's Live TV. Now you'll remember our reports on superior service, where our people in branches, they put their customers at the heart of the business. Today we're joined by Mary Bannister, Area Manager, South West Region, to tell us how superior service is coming to life in her area. Plus, Frankie's got all the latest from across the network that you've been sending in this week. OK, Frankie?
That's right, Paul. Got some brilliant news stories coming up this week.
Now, moving on. Before we talk to Mary in more detail, let's look at an example from one of Mary's branches in Hythe, which demonstrates a great example of superior service.
Come with me.
Yeah, OK, well done.
I first met Mrs Mills when she came into the branch November last year after the sad loss of her husband Les.
He was my life. He was my rock, my friend. He was a lovely man, and I was absolutely lost. Then, of course, I got to know Paula in HSBC, and she was absolutely wonderful.
She was distraught. She was frightened of everything. Anything in a brown envelope, white envelope, coming through the door, it just absolutely petrified her. We sat down and took the details and then developed a relationship on from there as to what her personal needs were.
I had all the stuff out on the table all day long, right up to midnight every day. I couldn't move it, because if I did, I'd lose track of what I was going to do with it. It took weeks and weeks and weeks to get straight.
I suggested that to make life easier for her was to put it all in a carrier bag, bring it in, and we go through it together. It just meant spending a little bit extra time with her, making the odd phone call to insurance companies, electric companies, gas companies. You know, it was just having somebody there to support her.
And she'd write, Joan, look after this, keep this in your folder. Or Joan, phone so-and-so at a later date. Or Joan, don't worry about this, you don't pay that bill. She was absolutely marvellous.
We treat all our customers exactly the same. We care about our customers, and I think that shows.
You see, the main thing is I trust them. I go in, it's a smile, good morning, how are you? Sorry to keep you waiting. You know, it's things that's never happened to me before.
I think is treating customers well, caring about them and showing that we do a little bit beyond banking.
I don't worry anymore. You know, I haven't got any need to worry, have I? I'm with the best bank in the world.
Hello Mary, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Welcome to Live TV.
Thanks.
There we have a very good example of superior service with Mrs Mills there.
Yeah, fantastic example there in Hythe branch, and thanks very much to Paula and her team for showing what HSBC is all about.
Why is Hythe such a good example?
Well, it's obviously a very powerful story, but it comes down to some very simple things that can be applied at every customer contact, like understanding the individual customer needs, really empathising with that customer and putting yourself in their shoes, and really delivering much more than most customers would expect you to deliver.
We've had some emails coming in all week, and we've got one here that's coming from our Exeter branch, which is in regards to superior service, and they say it's all very well for quieter branches. They have time to spend with their customers. Often we have queues going out the door. It's not easy for us.
That's a very fair point, and Hythe branch is it's in a relatively small market town, and it's not as busy as some branches in my area. We're not saying every branch has to do this exact thing with every single one of their customers. There simply wouldn't be the time. The point is, all of the elements that you've seen there with Paula and her team and Mrs Mills, you can take those and apply them to any customer contact. It's all about kind of empathising with your customers and putting yourself in their shoes and seeing things from their perspective.
So what you're saying then, Mary, is it's actually about being more proactive?
Yeah, absolutely, and also about everybody within the branch, whatever role you're in, working as a team.
Thanks very much, Mary. Now let's hear from Frankie, who's been receiving your news stories across the network this week.
Thanks, Paul. The results are in from last month's Best Place to Suggest. The winning idea came from Chris Jeffcoat. Chris suggested adding a counter withdrawal option on internet banking for those customers needing to withdraw money over the counter. This option will not only free up more time for our colleagues in direct, but will also allow everyone across the network to spend more time with their customers. Over 30 HSBC volunteers took to the streets of London last week to sell copies of The Big Issue as part of a local giving programme. Network colleagues from the Greater London region met up at The Big Issue's Covent Garden distribution point, ready to sell the magazine, which supports homeless people. Our volunteers were grouped in 2s and 3s and placed with the vendor, who took all the proceeds from their sales.
It was a good experience. I'm glad I did it.
And finally, recently we saw Brennan Cook go back to the shop floor and spend a day as a counsellor in the Guildford branch.
It's been a great morning. I've really enjoyed it. I'm actually quite exhausted. It's shown me what a tough job being a counsellor and a meter and a greeter is.
Where Brendan leads the way, others follow, and we will soon be seeing a number of our senior executives putting themselves in our shoes in branches across the country. If you would like them to join your team for a day, let us know. Well, that's it from your news across the network. Don't forget, we always want to hear your news and stories, including your examples of superior service. So send them to our LiveTV address.
Thanks, Frankie. Mary, do you think handing out copies of The Big Issue actually counts as excellent superior service?
I'm not sure about that, Paul, but anything that HSBC is doing in the community has got to be applauded.
Mary, thank you very much for coming in and spending some time with us today. That's it from all of us here at LiveTV. Next is your T3 session. Have a great day and enjoy the rest of your week.